Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Vasudev, Pran Prabhuji, Dandot Pranams.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam. I am very sorry I am 2 minutes late.
No problem, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandot Pranams to all. We welcome all of you for the today's morning program, Nityam Bhagavatha Sevaya. And today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Vasudev Pran Prabhu, and he will enlighten us on Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 5th chapter, and verse 6. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, introduction of this Prabhu from
Prabhu, are you there? Any other? Like only I know after Prabhu connected to our temple. So after that, like I see that Prabhu always serves prasadam and he always does a lot of services in the background, and Mataji also. So I think they came from other temple. Earlier they were taking care of the base somewhere in Sarjapur somewhere, and then they shifted here to take the association and to give the association to the new devotees and very humble devotees and they have a lot of like attitude of service. Yes, Prabhu.
This is my first Srimad Bhagavatam class, and this is my first class also I'm giving in ICC. So I kindly seek all of your blessings and prayers, and also please forgive me for all shortcomings. So let's start with Mangalacharan prayers. First of all, welcome to the Nityam Bhagavath Sevaya session. So yeah, we'll go ahead now. So Om Agnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Padam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamo Vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha So welcome to all the devotees for this Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. I offer my humble obeisances to all of the wonderful devotees who are assembled and seek their blessings so I can speak something meaningful. And please forgive if I speak anything beyond my realization. So today we are continuing the discussion on the teachings of Lord Rishabdev to his sons of Canto 5, Chapter 5, and today will be Shloka number 6. Venkatraman Prabhu, would it be possible for you to share the shloka?
Yes, Prabhu, I will share.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. I hope devotees are able to hear me.
Yes, Prabhu, the audio and video both are clear.
Okay. We'll repeat the shloka 3 times and then we'll go ahead with the translation and purport. Evam mana karma vasham prayunkte avidyayatmanyupadiyamane pritirnayavan mai vasudeve namuchyate deha yogena tavat. Evam mana karma vasham prayunkte avidyayatmanyupadiyamane pritirnayavan mai vasudeve न मुच्यते देहयोगेन तावत् एवं मन कर्म वशं प्रयुङ्क्ते अविद्यात्मन्युपदीयमाने प्रीतिर्न यावन् मयि वासुदेवे न मुच्यते देहयोगेन तावत्. The translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. When the living entity is covered by the mode of ignorance, he does not understand the individual living being and the supreme living being, and his mind is subjected by fruitive activity. Therefore, until one has love for Lord Vasudeva, one is who is none other than myself, he is certainly not delivered from having to accept a material body again and again. Purport. When the mind is polluted by fruitive activity, the living entity wants to be elevated from one material position to another. Generally, everyone is involved in working hard day and night to improve his economic condition. Even when one understands the Vedic rituals, he becomes interested in promotion to heavenly planets, not knowing that one's real interest lies in returning home back to Godhead. By acting on the platform of fruitive activity, one wanders throughout the universe in different species and forms. Unless he comes in contact with a devotee of the Lord, a guru, he does not become attached to service of Lord Vasudeva. Knowledge of Vasudeva requires many births to understand, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. After struggling for existence for many births, one may take shelter at the lotus feet of Vasudeva, Krishna. When this happens, one actually becomes wise and surrenders unto him. That is the only way to stop the repetition of birth and death. This is confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya, in the instructions given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sri Srila Rupa Goswami at Dashashwamedha Ghat. Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavanji, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai, Bhakti Lata Bij. The living entity wanders throughout different planets in different forms and bodies. But if by chance he comes in contact with a bona fide spiritual master, by the grace of the spiritual master, he receives Lord Krishna's shelter and his devotional life begins. So very beautiful purport of Srila Prabhupada. And we can see that throughout the teachings of Lord Rishabdev, he is highlighting the importance of utilizing the valuable human birth, and that is spiritual cultivation, and to minimize or to overcome all the material inclinations of enjoying in this material world, because that leads to repeated birth and death. That's what is mentioned, right? So like after millions of lifetimes, Brahmanda Brahmite, Kono Bhagyavanji, we become most fortunate, when someone comes in contact with bona fide spiritual master. So when one comes in touch with such a rare and fortunate opportunity to hear from a very realized and advanced soul, then pretty much that would mean the end of the sojourn of the soul in the material world. We've been traveling in this material world for millions, billions of lifetimes of Brahma, actually. And we do not know where we have started. It's mentioned what is the origin of the jiva. It's called anadi. Anadi means it is beginningless. It is not, sometimes it's mentioned time immemorial, but the actual Sanskrit meaning is beginningless. So there is no beginning. Nobody can trace when our journey began. And yet, we find ourselves so happily life after life trying to adjust ourselves in this miserable world, and struggling, somehow or other, by adjusting, by pulling, jerking, by compromising, or by rationalizing all the iniquities and all the imbalances of material existence. And we try to somehow make life comfortable, but ultimately we see that it is all frustrated and it ends in misery repeatedly. So that is the reason why this bhakti, the seed of bhakti that is given to us, it is so valuable. It is the most precious gift that Krishna actually bestows upon the living entity. It is not wealth, actually. It is when one has come in touch with devotees, with an advanced devotee, that is actually a real blessing of the Lord. So once this bhakti lata, right, the bhakti, the beach, the seed of devotion is sown in the heart, then what is our task? So first of all, for a seed to grow nicely, two things are required. One is the soil has to be fertile, and there has to be a regular watering process. So that watering process is what is called as devotional service. And the soil, which is the fertile soil, is the softness of our heart and the purity of our heart. So that we have to cultivate that, and the beauty of the heart is actually the real beauty of a soul lies in the humility, of accepting instructions and following instructions, respecting others, and following and taking those instructions and implementing them. So that's what nourishes the bhakti process. And we also say that Om Gnana Timirandasya, right? We pray to all the gurus that we are born in so much ignorance, and by grace of Guru, actually we get the vision to see who we are finally. Otherwise we are always thinking, we are this body, we're particular nationality or particular even animal. When we've heard this past time where Indra became for a short time a hog, and that he's the king of the demigods, yet he was so happy leading a life of a pig. A pig is very abominable species even in this earth, what to speak of heaven. But yet Indra became so comfortable in the pig's body. So by Shastra Chaksha, actually we will find out ultimately that material life is actually very, very very dangerous. It is very degrading to the soul. Actually, soul is incompatible in a material world. What to speak of the material body itself. So by devotees' grace and by Guru's grace, we can actually see the futility or the uselessness of sense enjoyment. And because, it is full of misery. And that is when the soul starts inquiring that what is beyond this material enjoyment. What is the meaning of life? That jigyasa should come. Atato Brahma jigyasa. When that jigyasa comes, or there is some inclination to know what is the higher truth, then Krishna, by arrangement of the Shiksha Guru or Pat Prataksha Guru, because he's sitting in the heart as Chaitya Guru, he's listening very carefully, very intently. He's listening. When will this jiva turn to me or have an inclination to turn? So that is when there is some inclination, the Lord guides us to the correct path. So one thing we have to understand, we can see repeatedly in all the shlokas that Rishabdev is giving, he's very much stressing that we should not be allured by sense enjoyment, because it is very, very degrading to the soul. Excuse me. So why is sense enjoyment so terrible? Anyone can understand that. It is mentioned that what is the birthplace of misery or suffering? What is the cause, root cause? If you analyze the root cause of suffering and misery in this world, the misery is born at a particular point in everybody's life. When is it born? Just like how Lord Krishna was born in Mathura, right? And Lord Ram was born in Ayodhya. Similarly, where is misery born? Misery is born when our senses and the sense object come in touch with each other. There is this shloka in Bhagavad Gita 5:22. Yahi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya nateshwaramate buddha. So it's mentioned there that dukkha yonaya, whenever the senses, samsparsha jabhava, when the senses start enjoying the sense objects, that is the moment that the misery is born. And this misery actually, it is at the bija state at that time, but later on it fructifies, it grows, and then it gives the bitter fruits. So later on there is suffering, suffering in the body or in the mind. Like for example, if you get into or any kind of intoxication, at that time it may appear very nice, or you, in an illicit relationship, it may be very pleasurable, but later on it becomes a habit, and then it torments us, torments our mind. There are diseases in the body, and what to speak of the Janma Mrityu Jaravadi cycle in which we get caught, because those desires have to be fulfilled again and again. So the material life keeps, Prakriti keeps giving us newer new bodies. So devotees are actually very intelligent. So we use our intelligence with the sharpened knife of knowledge. That's what it's mentioned, right? Nateshu Ramate Buddha. So those who are intelligent devotees avoid, the misery, not when it comes, but before it comes. That is, we do not engage in sense enjoyment. So there is no generation of misery. Of course, there are some difficulties we are going through, but that is because of some past misuse of our free will. But now that we are trying to practice sadhana bhakti, so that is why it's mentioned that we have to follow the 4 regulative principles very strictly, so that the onslaught of this karmic reaction stops in our life. And also there is a danger that when we indulge in these sense gratification activities, especially the 4 pillars of sinful life: gambling, meat eating, intoxication, and illicit relationships, it pretty much delivers us to lower species. So it is a great danger that even we lose our human birth. So so we should not engage in any material sense enjoyment. And although it begins like nectar, so it's shreyas and prayas. We know that shreyas means what appears very immediately pleasurable. But in Bhagavad Gita it's mentioned that spiritual life begins as poison, but it ends as nectar. And the prayas, which is the sense enjoyment, begins as nectar. Of course, it's not even nectar actually. It is just some fleeting happiness. Actually, it's really, you cannot call it nectar, but it surely ends as poison. So we should be careful of all kind of sense gratifications. And but yet you can see that the majority of population in this world, they are allured, so much by this mad pursuit of sense gratification. And that's because of avidya. It's mentioned in this shloka that avidyatman upadiyamane, that the atma, avidya is covering the atma, and because of that he is pushed into all kinds of karma vasham. He becomes caught by the intense fruitive activity. He goes one after the other trying to satisfy them, but in the end what happens is that he actually accepts many material bodies again and again. But in the spiritual life, and ultimately also he all the sense enjoyment is actually just a zero. If you see whatever we gain in this life, it actually amounts to zero, because we are going to lose it anyway, because adi anta, what it begins and it ends. So whatever we have is going to end anytime, any moment. It may be a job, it may be a wife, very nice children, house, whatever enjoyment, or flying to so many countries, trying to enjoy. Everything has an end, and when the end comes, it's a zero ultimately, right? You ended back in the same point you started. You didn't have something, you worked very hard, you got something, you try to enjoy. Of course, enjoyment is also not easy, because with enjoyment there is misery. Also, there is a pain of maintaining. If you consider the pain of maintaining a family, children, wife, it is so taxing to the body, mind, and soul. So it is misery even when trying to enjoy. but ultimately we all leave each other. So it will come into a zero. But yet the whole world is so happy, in proclaiming, I have 10 zeros, I have, or someone says I have 100 zeros, or someone says I have 1 zero, I'm yet to progress. But what is the difference, 1 0 or 100 0? It's all the same. So that is why the acharyas, they have mentioned that we have to include just one thing in our life, just add one thing, that is Krishna. So when we add that one in front of any number of zeros, they become exponentially valuable. And because that all counts into, when we use everything in relation to the Lord, see everything in relation to the Lord, everything becomes meaningful and it is permanent. So it is. So it's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Neha Bhikrama Nashosti Pratyavayona Vidyate Swalpamapyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mukto Bhayat. That in this path, whatever progress we make, it's never lost. If you take exams, for example, materially speaking, the passing mark, at least when I was studying, was 35. So if you don't get 35, if you get 31, you fail. Then again you have to write the exam. Again you have to get 35 only. Just because you failed, they will not reduce it. But in spiritual life, whatever progress we make, maybe we made progress 55, then next life we begin at 56. So that way we are assured of success in spiritual life. So we gradually come back to the spiritual world ultimately one day. And that is the hope we have. And otherwise, whatever we do is an utter waste. It's mentioned again also in Bhagavatam. Dharma swanishtita pumsa Vishwaksain Kathasya Notpadayati Dhiratim Shava Evai Kevalam. It is absolute waste of time, even if we perform all our duties very nicely. We've seen many times our grandmothers or older generation people, they took care of 15 people, 20 people, or big family. They did all their duties very nicely, but maybe they were not devotees. So ultimately they died, of all that sacrifice they did. And many times they didn't even die nicely. They were not taken care nicely. So all that hard work, is actually useless labor. Shrava eva hi kevalam. But if we actually serve the Lord even little bit every day, then it is of great value. So Prahlad Maharaj therefore confirms again in 7th canto that what is a formula to be happiness. Prahlad Maharaj says, to be happy, one should not endeavor for happiness. So it's very counterintuitive. Outside world people will think we are crazy, but that is the reality. Prahlad Maharaj is telling that as soon as one begins his activity for happiness, his distress begins. That also we saw that dukkha yena evayate. So the best thing is we should not ever waste our time for material happiness, and because ultimately we'll get frustrated whatever we do. So materially, those who are engaged in fruitive activities, they try to do bhoga, but when they're frustrated, they do tyaga. And then after some time, they become tired of tyaga also. Then again they do bhoga. So this continues up and down, up and down. So there's one in the early days of Mayapur, there in the beginning when the temple was there was one man who came one day and he mentioned, "Oh Maharaj, I want to join the ashram. I'm so frustrated with my wife. She's troubling me always. I want to give up family life. I want to join the ashram." So they asked him, "Okay, you want to join the ashram, but what if your wife comes back and she, repents and apologizes and she promises to behave very well?" So that man, he was just he bent his head and he was thinking. So that is a very a glaring example. Bhoga Tyaga. He did Tyaga, but when he was thinking, what if my wife comes back and she apologizes? Again, he's thinking of Bhoga. Let me go back. So like that. So that is why this Bhoga and Tyaga of the materialist or Bhukti Mukti or the Gyanis, right? They get tired of bhakti, but they go to mukti. But because they have not served the Lord, the mukti is not permanent. They have to again come back. Aroya kuchrena parampadam tata padantyada anadruta yushmat angreya. Because they have not served the lotus feet of the Lord, they think they are vimuktamaниnas. They think I've got liberated, but they will finally again fall down. So their position is also not permanent. That is why Krishna, he doesn't encourage bhoga, right? Bhoga is enjoyment. But also Krishna doesn't encourage dry tyaga. What Krishna encourages us is yoga. Yoga means to engage everything in service of the Lord. And that is the meaning of bhakti, to engage in service of the Lord. So we cannot be free, we cannot give up bhoga just like that. Just we cannot say, I'll not enjoy, because the propensity to enjoy or to be happy is inherent in our existence. So we are actually Sachir Ananda. So we have that propensity to enjoy. So what we should do, we should convert the desire for enjoyment to desire to please Krishna, and that is bhakti. So what is bhakti? Simple definition that is given. Sarvopadi vinirmukta tatparayam suvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchate. That we have to engage all our senses in satisfying the Lord. So we can see in our temple, beautiful temple in ICC, the deities are giving darshan every day. It's a feast to the eyes. The moment you step, actually the moment you enter the gate, I have noticed a change in my consciousness. Whatever stress and fears I had at home, it just dissipates the moment I enter the gate. I'm still outside. And when we go into the temple hall, there is a even more higher level of vibration. We see Prabhupada. So that is where, our senses are engaging in serving the master of the senses. And therefore we feel fully satisfied. We feel a shelter in that place. And then we take shelter of the Lord, we take darshan of the Lord. And then there is all our senses are enlivened, right? We can smell the fragrance. We can see the beautiful darshan. Our eyes are always hungry for something beautiful. And the deities, Radha Vinod and Jagannath Baladev Subramai and Nityanand and Gaur Sundara, they are giving such beautiful darshan for our pleasure. Of course, it's not like our pleasure. We derive pleasure, but of course they are seeing us. We are supposed to give them pleasure by standing there, by humbly offering our heart also. It's not enough. We just, of course, we can enjoy the beauty, but we should, offer meaningful prayers, and that's what makes us also beautiful in their eyes. And also we should serve them, whatever possible means. So, Sarvopadi Vinur Mukta. So we should actually have the proper attitude of engaging the senses in the master of senses. And also the bhakti process we do, it should be free of all abhilasha, anya abhilasha. It's mentioned anya abhilashita shunyam. So anya abhilashita shunyam. So even though we are sometimes doing bhakti, we should know why we are trying to do bhakti. We should be careful, because even in bhakti we may be very subtly derailed. Like we may be having some important positions, and or we may be enjoying the social gathering. We may have a lot of friends. So that could be the reason why we are coming to temple, or many people respect us, and that could be the reason. Subtly over the years, because what happens, initially there is some taste in bhakti, but after some time, because of the long stage of anartha nivritti, we know that there are 9 stages of bhakti, starting with Ado Shraddha, Tata Sadhu Sangha, Tata Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav, Prem. So in this 9 stages of development of our bhakti, from starting with Shraddha to Prem, the longest process is Anartha Nivritti, and it is the most difficult. So after some years, this Anartha Nivritti becomes very difficult to bear. So we start looking for alternatives. What else, I am not getting Prem. what else should I do in this temple? So that's when, sometimes we might get sidetracked, even though we may be devotees, dressed as devotees, behaving like devotees. The goal may be something else. So we should check, what is my motivation? Why am I coming to temple? Why am I doing bhakti? Is it because I want Krishna Prem? So that should be our goal. And that should never actually be out of our sight. So it is mentioned, of course, prema, bhakti, bhav. Forget prema, bhakti, even bhav is very, very far away for us at this stage. But it is mentioned that it can be out of reach, right? It can be out of reach, but it should not be out of sight. So we should be patient that one day we will reach there. And meanwhile, we should work on our eligibility to get that, because it's the greatest gift. It is the greatest, highest achievement to get Krishna Prem. And therefore, because also it is the highest achievement, Krishna also doesn't give that very easily. So we can understand, and we have to be patient. Just to get a visa to US, if you actually consider how much difficulty is involved, how much screening is involved, and how much qualified you have to be. You have to study literally almost 20, 25 years with masters and all that. And you have to qualify, and then you have to stand stand for in the embassy, and then they will check so much. And when you go there again, once you go there, then whole another story starts. You have to comply with the laws there, you have to perform there. So much tapasya is there just to go to America, which is actually a useless place. It is one of the worst places on this earth, actually. Even though there are a lot of problems in India, things are much better here. Because I have a lot of friends in US, so I know actually the inner thing. It looks very shiny and nice, but they're all terribly miserable. They're all suffering like anything. So we should actually understand that Krishna Prem is the goal, and Krishna is, and we should be convinced, right? Of course, we may not experience it. It's like, it's not pratyaksha. We have not experienced. It's mentioned that realization comes in 3 stages. One is pratyaksha stage. Then there is paroksha stage, and aparoksha stage. So pratyaksha is, of course, initial stage. We just do what devotees are doing. They wear dhoti, so I also start wearing dhoti. They dance, I also dance. Pratyaksha. But then later on, we hear about these things, many things which are beyond our realization, that there is that's material life is miserable. Initially, we don't believe it. We just hear, but we think, what is this nonsense? But later on, so that is the realization of the acharyas. So, but because of some shraddha, we just accept it. So that is the paroksha, para aksha. So we are seeing through their eyes. And then acharyas also mentioned, Krishna is beautiful, Krishna is wonderful, Krishna's love is so nice. And this is what happens when you take Krishna's name, the hair stand on him. So, but this is all paroksha. We have not experienced it. But as we stick on with the bhakti process, it becomes aparoksha. We start realizing ourselves. So nobody has to actually tell us what it is. We experience bhakti ourselves. So Krishna is that all attractive Lord, right? What is Krishna? Krishna means all attractive. He is attracting all of us. He is so beautiful. And Na means he is bestowing Ananda upon us. And the same counterpart, Krishna has a counterpart in the material world, and that is Maya. Now, Maya is also very attractive, very, very powerful. We can see how Maya can allure us. But Maya, she attracts us, but when we go near, she kicks us terribly. So we have to be very, intelligent. We want Krishna and not Maya. So Prabhupada mentioned one story to illustrate this. So there was one man. This is the story, like Prahar and Dhananjay story. Maybe some of you have heard it before. So there was one man, he had 10 daughters and 1 son. So it's amazing how he actually. So he married all these daughters. I don't know from where he got the money or all that. Somehow he married all the daughters, and then they all went to their husbands' homes. and his father was staying with the son. So son was Prahar. So once there was a big festival, so this man called all the daughters, and they all came with the son, his son-in-laws. So they all came, and the festival was for 3 days. So they all came and they enjoyed the festival. And after the festival, 5 of them left. Then 5 more were staying. And 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 1 week happened. Still they're not going. So the father became very little concerned. So he asked the son, "What is this? They are not leaving." Actually, it is mentioned, even though your son-in-law, you should not stay in for more than 3-4 days. 2-3 days you'll get nice treatment. After that, you are no more wanted there. So we have to leave. Just it is mentioned, guests and fish, they smell after 3 days. So we should not stay too long in anybody's house, even if it's father-in-law house. So this father-in-law, this fellow, he became concerned. So he told the son, "What happened? Or what is this? They're not leaving." So son was like, "What else? You are giving them so much feast every day. No, you reduce the items." Sometimes in temple also we feel, so many outsiders are taking advantage. Let's reduce the quality, because not now, but maybe in the past. So he said, "No more sabzi, no more chapati, no more sweet, only rice dal." So they started rice dal. So after rice dal started, 3 more left. So 2 were staying. Again, another 1 month passed. Again, so father became concerned. He said, "Prar, what to do? These 2 stubborn fellows, they're not leaving." So he said, "Okay, now you don't put salt also." So they stopped putting salt also. So then 1 fellow left. So the last fellow, his name was Dhananjay. He was staying. So whatever happens, he was adjusting. He was secretly adding his own salt and eating. Then another month passed. The father became very concerned and very disturbed. So what to do? This fellow is not at all leaving. So Prahar said, "Don't worry. Tomorrow morning, he will not be there." So early morning, he comes. The son, Prahar comes. Dhananjay is sleeping. And he puts a blanket on him and beats him up totally, black and blue. And the Dhananjay runs away from the house. So what is this story teaching us? So this is what Maya Devi is doing to all the living entities, including us. When we are getting beaten black and blue by so many Adhyatmik, Adi Bhautik, Adi Devi Klesh, Maya Devi, what is she saying? Get out, get out, get out. Get out of this place. You do not belong here. I don't want you here. In one way, actually, she's serving Lord Krishna by punishing the living entities so that they come to their senses. But yet we are so stubborn, if whatever misery comes, we try to find another solution. So like if we lose a job or something, we're like, no problem, we'll find another job. If the teeth falls, no problem, we'll fix all the teeth again, spend lakhs of rupees, again put all the teeth. And if we lose this thing with one spouse is something, again we get another spouse, like that. So we keep doing so many things, yet stubbornly we want to stick on to this world only. So that is a foolish approach. So we should actually surrender not to Maya, but to the Supreme Lord and Supreme Mother also, Radha, who is the source of Durga. So Srimati Radharani, she is actually Jaganmata. It's mentioned that Vatsalya Gunojvala Bhagavati. She is the abode of all beautiful character guna in her. And she's a Jaganmata. She is the genuine mother of the whole world. And she is actually, welcoming us back to the spiritual world. We can see that in our temple or any ISKCON temple, Radharani, she is holding, in the right hand, she's holding garland for the Lord. And in the left hand, what is she holding? Have you noticed? She's holding a bouquet, flowers. So this bouquet is for who? She's actually welcoming us to the spiritual world. So when we go there back, actually we'll be welcomed by Radharani. So Srila Prabhupada mentioned, in one house program, there are both these Devis. One is the Radharani, she is Devi, and there's also the Durga Devi in this material world. So both of them are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. One is Daivisha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratya. That is the Maya. So she is always troubling the living entity. But again, devotees are under Radharani. Where is Radharani mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita? It's mentioned that Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Daivim Prakriti Mashrita. So those who are under the Daivi Prakriti, they are actually under Radharani's shelter. So we should actually know where to take shelter, and that we should understand what is our real self-interest. Swarthagatim. It's mentioned by Prahlad Maharaj. That we should have Swartha. Swartha means self-interest is there, but we should know where is that self-interest fulfilled in the right way, under whose shelter. So we should know that. And so coming to the many process of bhakti, then what to do, how to progress. So how to take shelter of Krishna. So that we will now discuss. So in bhakti, there are many processes, and Sanatan Goswami in his Hari Bhakti Vilas, he has actually mentioned so many processes of bhakti in Hari Bhakti Vilas. And his brother Rupa Goswami actually summarized them into 64 items in Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Now, 64 items of devotional service is very, very, for a Kali Yuga soul, it is very overwhelming. What to do, which one to do. There will be chaos in temple. Somebody will say 30-second item is important. Somebody will say 50-second item is important. Then there will be chaos. And also we will be lost. What to do, what not to do, and something we want to do, nobody will be there to guide in that item. So that's why Rupa Goswami further simplified it. He said, I've given you 64 items of bhakti, but out of them, 5 are most potent of devotional service. So what are those 5 most potent items of devotional service out of the 64? It's mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela. Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtana, Bhagavata Shravan, Mathurava, Sri Murti, Shraddhaya Sevan. So there are these 5 items, which is the most potent forms of devotional service. What are they? Sadhu Sangha. That is association of devotees, serving devotees, to revealing our minds to the devotees. Dadati pratigranati, giving them gifts, offering, giving them and receiving gifts, offering them prasad, receiving prasad from them. Then like that, confidentially inquiring. So this is what is Sadhu Sangha. Then Nama Kirtan. Of course, the Yuga Dharma is Nam Sankirtan. Sankirtan is not possible every day. So at least 16 rounds of Nam Kirtan we have to do every day. And then there is Bhagavat Shravan. Now, Bhagavat Shravan is also very, very powerful process. We sing, in the beginning of Bhagavatam class, Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. That by hearing Bhagavatam, all that is troublesome to the heart, Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu, all the inauspicious things in the heart gets destroyed gradually. And this is possible by the simple process of hearing Bhagavatam from advanced devotees. Then apart from that, staying in, what are the other 2 items? One is Mathura Vas, staying in any holy dham, and then Sri Murti Shraddhaya Sevan, that is deity worship. Prabhupada very strongly emphasized deity worship for Grihasthas especially. Those who are not near temple, they should have their own deities. And those who are serving near the temple, they should actually serve the deities in the temple primarily. Even if they don't have it at home, it is okay. It is advised that they help in deity services and all that. And we can see so many beautiful, wonderful devotees who are serving in ICC, so that the lordships are happy there, and they are actually giving their mercy to the entire world who come there. So Sadhu Sangha actually, Sadhu Sangha and Bhagavat Shravan. See, both of these items, we have to understand how to accept this. Nam Kirtan we do at our house. But Sadhu Sangha, we should understand what is the meaning of Sadhu Sangha. Sadhu Sangha does not mean, we just meet some devotees and we talk, how is your job? what breakfast, this is not sadhu sangha. Of course, that is just friendship, that is okay. But ultimately, sadhu sangha means we have to actually associate with those who are more advanced in bhakti. So we have to inquire, what are you reading? What are you hearing, Prabhu? Or Prabhu, this is my problems I'm facing. How do I progress? So this is what is sadhu sangha. And also we can get together and, perform some devotional activities, reading, hearing, chanting together, or serving in the temple, or making programs for spreading Krishna consciousness. So this is what is sadhu sangha actually. And Bhagavad Shravan is mentioned that, of course, Bhagavatam is Amala Puran, but the quality of the Shravan is depending on the purity of the speaker. That it's mentioned that when a pure devotee speaks Bhagavatam, actually the Lord in his heart is actually so pleased that the saffron particles of the Lord in his heart, the Lord is there. The saffron particles of the Lord's lotus feet, that comes out in the form of the sound vibration, and that enters our consciousness. So we have to be very eager when we have opportunity to hear from very advanced devotees. We should not. We should take full advantage and try to hear Bhagavatam from these people. So taking shelter of devotees is very, very important. It is so important that we associate with devotees nicely. That this is actually what powers our spiritual life. And see, we have to take shelter of the Lord, but how do we take shelter of the Lord? We can take shelter of the Lord by taking shelter of the devotees. When we take shelter of devotees, that means we are under shelter of the Lord. In fact, Prabhupada in his own life, in a very, very instructive way, this was demonstrated by Prabhupada. This I heard in a lecture actually. It is not there in Leelam. So Srila Prabhupada, he was very sick, it was his last stages. He was on his bed. He was on his death bed, and everyone was expecting, we don't know what's going to happen. Then one day at around 12:30, Prabhupada rang the bell, and Tamal Krishna Goswami ran, and Prabhupada said, call all the devotees. So Tamal Krishna thought, oh my God, our Acharya is leaving now. He's going to give some final instruction. Something very significant he might tell to all the devotees. So he went and ran, call all the devotees. This is happening in Vrindavan. So everyone came into his room, and everyone was very poignant, and they were hearing very intently what will Prabhupada say, And Prabhupada, with great difficulty, sat up. He was made to sit. And then Prabhupada saw all the devotees very deliberately and intently. He put eye to eye. He saw all the devotees. And then the devotees thought, okay, now he will tell what we should do. But Prabhupada didn't say anything. Prabhupada just again lied down and he said, you all can go back. The devotees were very bewildered, so they all went back. So then Tamal Krishna Maharaj asked, what, Prabhupada, why you called all of us? Did you want to tell anything? The Prabhupada said, no, I just wanted to see all of you. So what does this beautiful pastime illustrate? It shows that Prabhupada, the world Acharya, the Paramahamsa, Nitya Siddha devotee, at the last stages, last moment of his life, he was taking shelter of the devotees. He was reciprocating with the devotees. So devotees were so much valuable to him that at that stage, he wanted to spend time with the devotees. So this is our real shelter, and this is the fuel for our transcendental consciousness. Otherwise, we'll be like spark which is out of the fire. And so we have to be in the fire of association. In the fire of association, we are a tiny spark, and we will also glow, and we will give out light. But if we come out of the spark of association, from the fire of association, then we'll land and we will be extinguished. So we can see that association is so powerful. So now for good sadhana, I want to talk a little bit about what are the impediments. So how can we have good sadhana so that we can progress in bhakti? We can go from stage of anartha nivritti, we can quickly go to nishta. So it's not an elaborate thing, but few things. So we should examine actually. First of all, we should analyze whether we are having good sadhana. How do we know? So how do we know whether we are having good sadhana? First, we have to measure our sadhana. Earlier, there used to be something called a sadhana chart. I don't know if it is still there, but earlier that was there, that system was there. So we have to follow that. Maybe we don't need to submit it now. Nobody has time to check it, but we have to check ourselves. So we have to analyze whether our bhakti is increasing or it is stagnating or it is reducing. So reducing is a red flag. Increasing is good, green flag. But if it is staying steady, then it is orange. We need to improve. So now we can increase the quantity or at least we can increase the quality. So we have to manage our sadhana first by measuring, how is my sadhana? So if it is stopped or decreasing, then we have to analyze what is the main cause. And we have to then analyze, find out the cause, and then we have to try to address that. So this is best done by revealing our situation to a devotee, senior devotee. Not any devotee. He should be advanced devotee. He should have himself good sadhana. Then we can find out, what is the problem. So this is what is dadati, that guhyam akyata prachati. So that way we can find out what is the remedy and we have to implement that. Whatever the Vaishnava says, we have to implement that. So then also another two obstacles in anartha nivritti stage is laya. It's mentioned laya means tendency to sleep, then to be lazy. Then there is vikshepa. Vikshepa means distraction with all other topics. So these are the main impediments. We have to analyze actually that am I getting distracted when chanting? Am I getting distracted when hearing? Because if we are distracted, we are disconnected. So we can chant 16 rounds, but if it is a disconnected chanting, then we have not made any progress. It is just the sound has hit and gone off. But if we hear, that is why we have to hear nicely. Then the sound has entered our consciousness. Then that is when that purification process can happen. Also, same thing happens when chanting or during kirtan or during hearing Bhagavatam classes. So if we are getting too much distracted, or sleepy, we have to actually analyze, what is the cause for it. So the best way to avoid sleepiness is to sleep early and wake up early. So that way we are fresh in our consciousness and we can chant nicely. And also distraction is now in the form of mobile. So we have to be very, very cautious because this mobile is destroying humanity. Nobody can read these days because people have got used to videos. They're not even reading actually. If any message has that read more, right? So nobody reads. So they will see how long is the message. They can only read as long as the screen shows. But earlier in our own life, we've seen, there used to be book melas, there used to be libraries. We all used to read so much. But now we lost that ability to read because of the smartphones. So we have to be very careful of mobile phones or any kind of other kind of distraction which is taking away our time, and whether we are sleepy, when we are hearing. So we have to analyze these things. So ultimately, to summarize, so what are the two things we have to do in Kali Yuga to progress? Basically two things. One is Bhagavat Seva and Nam Kirtan. So Bhagavat Seva is, of course, again, book Bhagavat and person Bhagavat. Bhagavat is both person and book. So we have to serve the person Bhagavat and we have to serve the book Bhagavat by reading, right? That is what is Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So because devotees are so important that when we serve the person Bhagavat, we actually get the full grace of the Lord. There is a nice story in I'll just end with this story. That in Kanchipuram, there is this Varadaraj temple, and there was a very wonderful devotee called Kanchipurna. So he used to actually serve the Lord every day, and the Lord was so pleased by his humility. The Lord would speak to Kanchipurna. So whoever wanted to know anything, they would ask Kanchipurna, can you ask the Lord this question? So he would put forth the question and the Lord would answer. So that way, he was so advanced devotee. So one day, one devotee asked Kanchipurna, can you ask the Lord when I will be liberated? So Kanchipurna agreed, and then he asked the Lord, when will this devotee be liberated? He was asking. So the Lord said, this very life is getting liberated. So Kanchipurna is amazed, this devotee is so fortunate. But then there was a desire in him. So he asked the Lord, what about me? When will I be liberated? So the Lord actually, he said, I'm not so sure when you will be liberated. So Kanchipurna was very shocked. What is this? I'm talking to the Lord and every day I'm serving the Lord. Yet he's saying, even he himself is not sure when I'll be liberated. So he asked, why? Why, Lord? Why I'm not liberated? But this devotee is getting liberated this life. So the Lord mentioned, that is because you are not serving devotees. You are serving me directly. So that is when Kanchipurna understood the thing that, serving devotees is higher than serving the Lord. So he immediately stopped his service in the temple, and he actually he went to Mahapurna, another the disciple of Yamunacharya, and then he disguised himself and he started serving the devotee by serving the cows in his cowshed. So then he got the mercy of Varadaraj. So that way we can see that serving devotees is so important, and taking their association is actually the main anga of bhakti. That is what gives us advancement in all the other angas also. So I'll conclude. So there's another nice story, but I don't think we have time. But Quresh is another disciple of Ramanujacharya. And Quresh, he was blinded by a king for promoting Vaishnavism. Anyway, that's another story. So Quresh, actually, he was singing beautiful song. He became blind, actually. The one king who was a very envious Shaivite king, he actually plucks out Quresh's eyes, thinking he's Ramanujacharya. So Quresh actually is a disciple of Ramanujacharya, who actually Ramanujacharya escapes and Quresh goes in his place to this king's palace, and the king, he challenges who is high, Vishnu or Shiva. Shiva is high. You have to agree. So he will defeat him. So as a vengeance that he got defeated, he actually plucks Quresh's eyes. So Quresh, when he comes back, Ramanujacharya asks him, please ask the Lord to get your eyes back. So Quresh doesn't. He goes to the Lord, but and he sings so beautifully, and the Lord asks, what do you want? Quresh says, please deliver that king. He'll be suffering so much. So please give him the highest destination. So that way he was not asking. So that way he remained blind his whole life. So in the last stage of his life, he actually asks the Lord, Rangnath actually. Rangnath comes to Quresh and he asks him, what do you want? You served me so nicely. What do you want? So Quresh says oh Lord, I want to go back to Vaikuntha. And also, can you please give me the benediction that whoever is close to me, they will also come back to Vaikuntha. So the Lord grants that wish. Now Quresh is disciple of Ramanujacharya. So Ramanujacharya, when he hears that Quresh is going back to Vaikuntha, he starts dancing. So he says, so Quresh is going back to Godhead, and he has asked that whoever is related also will go back. So therefore I will go back. So he was dancing. But of course, later on, then he becomes grave. Then he calls Quresh. Then he says, why you wish to die? So Quresh says, oh my master, I want to go back to Vaikuntha because I know you, my guru, and all my God brothers will soon be coming back. So I want to go there and keep everything ready for you. So that is the attitude of Quresh, that he wants to go back to Vaikuntha not to enjoy, not to escape misery, but to serve his spiritual master. So I'll end with this. Srila Prabhupada, in the chapter of Dhruva Maharaj, he mentions the same thing. Prabhupada said that this Krishna conscious movement is spreading all over the world. And sometimes I think even though I am crippled in many ways, if one of my disciples becomes as strong as Dhruva Maharaj, then he'll be able to carry me with him to Vaikuntha. So Srila Prabhupada's humility is he's genuinely saying that one devotee will take me back to Vaikuntha. So that is the beautiful, and it's not some joke or anything. This genuinely is saying, So this is what shows us the value of devotee association. Nashta prayesho bhatresho, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So we should hear Bhagavatam, we should read Bhagavatam. In that way, all the anarthas in our heart will be destroyed, and Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. That Krishna Bhakti will be established in our heart as an irrevocable fact. So with that, I end my talk. I'm sorry, I'm slightly over time. I'm very sorry. Thank you for your kind time and Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for a very nectarian class. Sri Balaj Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Next, Prabhuji, could you please introduce Prabhu?
Definitely, it's my pleasure. So we all know Prabhu's name, Vasudev Prabhu, and I have known Prabhuji for many years, right from the point when we met in Sheshadipuram, and they used to stay in Sarjapur. Actually, we used to go to the house for our counseling, annual or half-yearly counseling yatras, picnics, and sessions actually. And then, but I when I heard Prabhu's class, I felt that when Prabhu and Mataji have come near to the temple, I started knowing them more. So definitely, when Vaishnavas are a little apart, we might know them from on a very high level. But when we come closely associated with them, we know them more. So that's what I feel, and I'm really thankful to Prabhuji for this wonderful class. Vasudev Prabhu was in IT. He left the job, and the class that he mentioned, the point that he mentioned, the class, it's not only that he talks, but he actually walks. He walks those things that he mentioned. So he has seen that misery point very closely, and that's how he's understanding. He's left the job, and he's nicely associated with devotees. He's wonderfully associated in services also. Kamya and Mataji is good wife. Mataji is a very skilled person. Mataji is, as soon as they shifted near to the temple, Mataji has been assigned to the kitchen seva and also on the deeply dressing seva, so which she is very skilled in. So they are very nicely placed, and I've seen Prabhu's service attitude during this Janmashtami, during the temple inauguration. I mean, I have few words to explain how much service attitude he has. So thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. And I'm really feel very happy that you have come close to the temples that we can associate with you more. And thank you for the wonderful class.
Great fortune. I can see so many wonderful Vaishnavas who are so sincere and so humble. I have so much to learn. I'm actually just like a baby. I actually was not ready to give this class, but I've just given it as my purification because I'm not at all qualified. I see everyone here is so dedicated. I've not seen such devotees anywhere, and they're so loving and caring. I hope I can imbibe all of your qualities one day, and please bless me that I can be a proper devotee, by all of your association. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. There is one question, Prabhuji, in the chat by Gaurchan Gopinath Prabhu. Wonderful class, Prabhu. Your understanding and relation of deities and serving them is amazing. Wonderfully explained the 5 important angas of bhakti. Anartha nivritti seems to be long process, and I don't see any time and coming out of this. What is the hope for me? What is your suggestion? I think Prabhu is asking on behalf of all of us.
This is this is actually very heart touching to see that very senior devotee of ICC. Of course, he is asking this on behalf of all of us and me also. I would say I am struggling. So anartha nivritti it's a known thing that it's a gradual process. So we have to actually relish bhakti. So we don't have to worry so much about anartha nivritti so much. We have to worry about how to improve our bhakti. Whether anartha is there or not there, it is really not so much in our control anyway. So because the Lord says, right, Nashta Prayasha Bhadri, I actually cleanse your heart from within. So that is the Lord's prerogative. So there is this Markata Nyaya and Marjara Nyaya. So till Anartha Nivritti stage, it is Marjara Nyaya. Marjara Nyaya means kitten. So the kitten is is monkey, Markatanya. So Vedanta Deshikar said that we have to actually so we should be determined, we should perform our Vaidik Bhakti very nicely, follow all the rules and regulations. So if we follow all the rules and regulations, actually the result will be very quick. And to overcome anarthas, the main thing is we should not offend devotee. And see, again, it's a very negative way of avoiding offense. If we just say, I'll not offend, we are sure to offend. We should not say, I'll not offend. We should say, I want to serve devotees. So if we say, I want to serve devotees, that is a higher consciousness than saying, I will not offend devotees. So when we serve devotees, when we respect them, that automatically means that we are following Trinadapi Sunichena principle, right? So when we follow Trinadapi Sunichena principle nicely, that then our bhajan will increase. The quality of our bhajan will increase, and we'll get mercy of the Lord. Then Kirtaniya Sadahari, then that is when we can chant nicely. See, ultimately the goal is to chant nicely, but we are doing all the other angas, especially devotees, serving devotees, because they love the Lord so much, and the Lord loves them, that by pleasing them, the Lord will give us the results very fast. So that's all we have to do. Actually, we don't have to worry when is this anartha going. Otherwise, the focus is, I have anartha, and then we are suffering so much. So anartha is there, but what can I do? We should analyze that. What can I do? I can improve my chanting. How can I improve my chanting? By serving devotees, by being humble. Then Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Saishuna, Amanina Manadena. These three things happen by serving devotees. And also serving the new people who are coming, at least to our temple. We may not have the power to catch people on the road and make them devotees, but those who are coming to temple, they are guests of Krishna. So serve them nicely. Serve is what? We just need to talk nicely. We just need to smile. When you are passing each other in the temple, just look at each other. Just give a smile. Don't go like, this person doesn't exist. Sometimes I see, unfortunately, we may be in a hurry, but at least we can say Hare Krishna. If not anything, we can just smile. If not anything, we can just meet our eyes. So that way, we should develop these loving relationships. Then even when there's disagreement in the temple, because of seva, there will be disagreement. It will not lead to offenses. So sadachar actually is very important. We find sadachar we need very much good training in that actually. Then naturally anartha nivriti will happen very fast. And of course, we have to also improve our this thing, which is the markata, right? We have to hold to the Lord. We have to take shelter of the holy. And the best way is to chant nicely. That can happen only in the morning. After 8 o'clock, the chanting is not at all effective. It is not going to help us. So this is what I can say, that our hearing should be good. Our serving seva should be harmonized with sadachar, and then naturally Nam Kirtan will be very effective. And then our cleansing, anartha nivriti, everything will happen very fast. Hare Krishna. I don't know if it answered, but this is what I can do.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Like to understand in one. Yes, Prabhuji, Prasanatma.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, Hare Krishna, Vasudev, Pran, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. I think there is so much of conviction, so much of clarity in what you are saying, which is very inspiring. And thank you so much for that. And wonderful analogies, examples. So it was great listening to you. So we were fortunate the first time, and then we were there. I was there. So thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Just learning from all of you. And Gaurchandra Gopinath Prabhu is the epitome and pinnacle of Trinadapi Sunichena. We saw him tremendous unlimited patience and unlimited seva bhav in the new temple opening. So much challenging situations, but he never lost his cool. He never blamed anyone. That was the real thing. My wife also, she was explaining, she was in his team. It was such a inspiring thing to see how he was serving devotees, how he was serving so many guests, the VIP guests. and he didn't have proper support. Many times ingredients were not there, but never lost his cool, never scolded anyone. So like that was amazing. So this is what he's actually demonstrating. I'm just saying theory. So pray that all of you senior devotees, Prasanatma, Bhagavan Prabhu, all of you are wonderfully serving. So just trying to learn more. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.